The stage lurched to a stop in front of the dusty wooden buildings of Sonora, California, and Olivia Hayes pressed her gloved hand against the window, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might break through her corset. Everything she owned sat in two worn carpetbags at her feet, and everything she hoped for waited somewhere beyond that smudged glass in the form of a man she had never met, whose letters had promised her safety, respect, and a home in this wild frontier town in the year 1876. The driver opened the door and offered his weathered hand. Olivia took it and stepped down into the September heat, her traveling dress already too heavy for the California sun. A dozen faces turned her way, curious eyes taking in her arrival. She smoothed her skirts and lifted her chin, refusing to show the fear that coiled in her stomach like a rattlesnake ready to strike. "Miss Hayes." A deep voice cut through the noise of the street. Olivia turned and found herself looking into the bluest eyes she had ever seen. They belonged to a man who stood at least 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered beneath a dusty brown shirt, with sun-darkened skin and dark hair that touched his collar. He held his hat in his hands, revealing a face that was handsome in a rugged, weathered way, though younger than she expected. Perhaps 27 or 28 at most. His jaw was strong, shadowed with stubble, and there was something gentle in his expression despite the obvious strength in his frame. "Mr. Logan Reese?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "Yes, madam." He took a step closer, and she noticed the slight limp in his left leg. Something flickered across his face, an emotion she could not quite name. "I hope your journey was not too difficult." "It was long," she admitted. She studied his face, searching for disappointment or deception, for any sign that the man who had written those kind letters was not the same one standing before her. "Mr. Reese, I must tell you something before we go any further." His eyebrows drew together slightly. "All right." Olivia swallowed hard. This was the moment she had been dreading since she left Ohio 3 weeks ago. "Your letters, they were very kind, but I feel I must be honest with you. The photograph I sent, it was old, very old. I look different now. I am not what you expected." She watched his face carefully, waiting for the rejection she had seen before. At 24, Olivia knew what men saw when they looked at her. She was too tall, too thin, with sharp features and auburn hair that refused to behave. Her hands were rough from work, and she had a scar on her chin from a childhood accident that no amount of powder could hide. The photograph she had sent had been taken years ago, before hardship and loss had carved their marks into her face. Logan Reese was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face, transforming it entirely. "Miss Hayes, with all due respect, you are everything I need." The words hit her like a physical thing, warming places inside her that had been cold for so long. She blinked rapidly, determined not to cry in front of this stranger who was supposed to become her husband. "I do not understand," she said quietly. "I did not ask for a photograph that made you look like someone else," Logan said, his voice gentle. "I asked for a woman who would be honest with me, who would work beside me, and who wanted to build a life out here. Your letters told me you were that woman, and standing here now looking at you, I know I was right." Olivia felt something crack inside her chest, some protective wall she had built up over the years. "You truly mean that?" "I have never been more certain of anything in my life." He gestured to the street behind him. "Sonora is not an easy place, Miss Hayes. Life here is hard. I own a ranch about 5 miles outside town, and I am barely keeping it running. I lost my parents to fever 2 years ago, and I have been managing alone since. I need a partner, not a pretty face in a photograph. I need someone real." She met his eyes and saw nothing but sincerity there. "I can work hard. I am not afraid of that. I know you are not. Your letters told me that too. He picked up her bags as though they weighed nothing. "There is a preacher in town. We could be married today if you are willing, or we could wait if you need time to be sure." Olivia thought of the empty rooms she had left behind in Ohio, of the sister-in-law who had made it clear she was no longer welcome after her brother died. She thought of the factory work that had been slowly killing her, the endless gray days with no hope of anything better. And she thought of Logan Reese's letters, full of descriptions of golden hills and open sky, of a life that was hard but honest. "Today," she said firmly, "I am already sure." Something in his expression softened even further. "Then let me show you Sonora properly before we make it official. You should know what you are agreeing to." He led her down the main street, pointing out the general store, the saloon, the blacksmith shop. The town was rougher than anything Olivia had known back east, with wooden sidewalks and buildings that looked hastily constructed. Men in dusty clothes walked alongside Chinese laborers and Mexican families, a mix of people drawn by the promise of gold that had brought prosperity to this part of California 25 years earlier. The boom days were over, Logan explained, but enough gold remained to keep the town alive, along with cattle ranching and farming. "My ranch," he said as they walked. "It is not much yet. 200 acres, about half of it good grazing land. I have maybe 40 head of cattle right now, and I am trying to build that up. The house is small, just 3 rooms, but it is solid. I built most of it myself after the fever took my parents." "You built it yourself?" Olivia asked, impressed despite herself. "With help from neighbors," he admitted. "Folks around here, they look out for each other. You will find people here are good, mostly. There is some trouble now and then, but nothing we cannot handle." They reached the edge of town, and Logan paused, looking out at the rolling hills beyond. "I want to be honest with you about everything, Miss Hayes. I limp because I took a bullet in my leg 3 years ago. A dispute over water rights got ugly, and I was caught in the middle. It healed, but not quite right. I manage fine, but I am not as fast as I used to be." "You move well enough," Olivia said. "I had not even noticed until you mentioned it." He smiled at that. "I also want you to know that marriage out here, it is a partnership. I will not lie and say I am looking for a servant or someone to just keep house. I need your thoughts, your ideas. If we are going to make the ranch succeed, it will take both of us." Olivia looked at this man who had paid for her passage across the country based on nothing but letters and an old photograph. "Why did you place the advertisement, Mr. Reese? Why not court someone local?" Logan was quiet for a moment. "Because everyone local knew my parents. They knew what happened, and they all looked at me with pity. I wanted someone who would see me as I am now, not as the boy who lost his family. Does that make sense?" "Yes," Olivia said softly. "That makes perfect sense." They walked back toward the church, a small white building at the end of the main street. Logan stopped outside and turned to face her. "Last chance to change your mind, Miss Hayes. Once we do this, I promise you I will do everything in my power to be a good husband. But I understand if you need more time, or if you want to go back east." Olivia looked up at his honest blue eyes and made her choice. "I have no reason to go back east, Mr. Reese, and I think you will be a fine husband. Shall we?" The preacher was a thin man with kind eyes who asked them the necessary questions and seemed satisfied with their answers. 2 townswomen were brought in to serve as witnesses, their faces bright with curiosity. The ceremony was brief and simple. Logan's hand was warm and solid when he took hers, and when he said his vows, his voice was steady and sure. "I now pronounce you man and wife," the preacher said. "You may kiss your bride." Logan leaned down and pressed a gentle kiss to Olivia's lips, so careful and respectful that she felt tears prick at her eyes again. When he pulled back, he was smiling. "Hello, Mrs. Reese," he said quietly. "Hello, husband," she replied, and the word felt strange and right all at once. They signed the register, and Logan paid the preacher with coins from his pocket. Then they were outside again, married, and Olivia felt the weight of her new reality settling over her like a cloak. "We should stop at the general store," Logan said. "I will get you whatever you need, and we can head out to the ranch before dark. I brought the wagon." At the store, Olivia was careful with her choices, picking only practical items. Logan added things without asking her, fabric for new dresses, ribbons, a warm shawl. "Winter comes hard here," he explained when she protested. "You will need these things." The storekeeper, an older man with a gray beard, congratulated them warmly. "Logan Reese, you are full of surprises. Did not know you had a bride coming in." "I am a man who values my privacy, Mr. Chen," Logan said with a grin. "But yes, this is my wife, Olivia." Mr. Chen nodded approvingly. "Good strong name. You will do well here, Mrs. Reese. This one, he is a good man, honest. You picked right." "Thank you," Olivia said, warmed by the acceptance in his voice. They loaded the supplies into the wagon along with Olivia's bags. Logan helped her up onto the seat, then climbed up beside her, taking the reins. As they rolled out of Sonora, heading into the Golden Hills, Olivia felt the knot in her chest begin to ease. "Tell me about the ranch," she said. "What do you grow?" "Right now, mostly hay for the cattle. I have a vegetable garden that has been struggling without proper care. I can manage the cattle and the heavy work, but the garden, the chickens, keeping the house, I have been letting all that slide." He glanced at her. "I am not expecting you to do it all yourself. We will work it out together, but I will admit it will be good to have help." "I am good with gardens," Olivia offered, "and I can cook, though I am no expert. I can learn anything else you need. That is all I ask." The ride took about an hour, following a rough trail through the hills. The land was beautiful in a stark way, golden grass and scattered oaks, with mountains rising in the distance. They passed a few other homesteads, and Logan pointed out the neighbors. "That is the Martinez place," he said, indicating a well-kept ranch to the south. "Diego Martinez and his wife Rosa. Good people. They have been very kind to me since my parents died. And over that way is the Morrison Ranch, much bigger operation. John Morrison is fair enough, though we do not see eye to eye on everything." As the sun began to sink lower in the sky, they crested a hill, and Logan pointed ahead. "There, that is home." Olivia looked at the small ranch spread out in the valley below. The house was indeed small, built of wood with a covered porch, but it looked solid and well-maintained. A barn stood nearby, along with a chicken coop and a few other outbuildings. A stream glinted in the evening light, running along the eastern edge of the property. "It is beautiful," she said honestly. Logan looked surprised. "You think so?" "I do. It is peaceful. Open. Nothing like the crowded streets I left behind." He smiled, clearly pleased. "Then let us go home, wife." They descended into the valley as the sun painted the sky orange and pink. Logan pulled the wagon up to the house and helped Olivia down. Her legs were stiff from the long ride and she stumbled slightly. His hand steadied her immediately. "Careful," he said. "You have had a long day." "I am fine," she assured him, but she was grateful for his concern. Inside, the house was indeed small but clean. The main room served as both kitchen and living area, with a stone fireplace, a rough wooden table, and a few chairs. Two doors led off the main room, one to what must be the bedroom, the other to a small storage room. "I know it is not much," Logan said, setting her bags down. "But it is yours now, too. Change anything you want, move things around, make it feel like home." Olivia turned to look at him. "Mr. Reese, Logan, may I ask you something?" "Of course, anything." "Why are you being so kind to me? You do not even know me." Logan was quiet for a moment, his expression serious. "Because I know what it is like to feel lost. When my parents died, I felt like I was drowning. The only thing that kept me going was the kindness of neighbors, people who barely knew me but helped anyway. I want to give you that same chance. And besides," he added, his voice softening, "your letters were kind, honest. You told me about losing your brother, about how hard life had become. I felt like I understood you. Maybe I was wrong, but I do not think so." "You were not wrong," Olivia said quietly. "I tried to be honest in my letters because I did not want to start a marriage with lies. Neither did I." He moved toward the fireplace. "Let me get a fire going and make us some supper. You must be starving. I can help. Tonight, let me take care of it. Tomorrow we start our partnership properly. But tonight, after everything, just rest." Olivia sat at the table and watched as Logan moved around the small kitchen with surprising efficiency. He built up the fire, set a pot of beans to warm, and sliced bread and cheese. It was simple food, but Olivia's stomach growled at the smell. They ate together as darkness fell outside. Logan asked her about her journey, about Ohio, about what she hoped for in this new life. Olivia found herself talking more freely than she had in months, telling him about the factories where she had worked, about her brother's death from a work accident, about the loneliness that had driven her to answer his advertisement. "I am sorry about your brother," Logan said. "Losing family, it leaves a hole nothing else can fill." "Yes," Olivia agreed, "but you understand that. I do." He stood and began clearing the dishes. "The bedroom is through that door. I will sleep out here tonight. I want you to be comfortable, to have time to adjust." Olivia felt her cheeks warm. "Logan, we are married." "We are," he agreed, meeting her eyes. "And we will have a proper marriage if that is what you want. But not tonight when you are exhausted and overwhelmed. Tonight you need rest. Tomorrow we can talk about how we want to move forward." It was such a thoughtful gesture that Olivia felt tears sting her eyes again. "Thank you," she whispered. "No need to thank me. Get some sleep, Olivia. Tomorrow starts our real life together." Olivia took one of her bags and retreated to the bedroom. It was a simple room with a large bed covered in quilts, a washstand, and a small dresser. She changed into her nightgown, washed her face, and climbed into bed. The mattress was surprisingly comfortable, and the quilt smelled like sunshine and fresh air. She lay in the darkness, listening to the sounds of Logan moving around in the main room, banking the fire, settling down for the night. Her husband. The word still felt strange. But lying there in that small bedroom in a house on a California ranch, Olivia felt something she had not felt in a very long time. Hope. She woke to the sound of a rooster crowing and early morning light streaming through the window. For a moment, Olivia was disoriented, not sure where she was. Then memory flooded back and she sat up quickly, her heart racing. She was married. This was her home now. Olivia dressed quickly in a simple cotton dress and braided her auburn hair. When she emerged from the bedroom, she found Logan already up, the fire burning cheerfully and the smell of coffee filling the air. "Good morning," he said, smiling at her. "I hope you slept well." "I did, surprisingly." She moved toward the stove. "What can I do to help?" "Nothing yet." "Sit and have some coffee. We will make a plan for the day." Olivia accepted the tin cup he handed her and sat down at the table. Logan joined her with his own coffee, and they sat in companionable silence for a few moments. "I thought today we could spend time getting you familiar with everything," Logan said. "I will show you the barn, the animals, the garden. Then we can decide what needs doing most urgently." "How does that sound?" "Practical and sensible," Olivia replied. "I like it." After a simple breakfast of eggs from the chickens and more of the bread from the night before, Logan led her outside. The morning air was cool and fresh. the sun just starting to warm the valley. Everything looked different in daylight, more real somehow. The chickens were first, a small flock of brown hens scratching in their coop. Logan showed her where the feed was kept, how much to give them, where to collect the eggs. "They are yours now," he said. "I will be honest, I have not been as attentive to them as I should. They deserve better care." "I will take care of them," Olivia promised. The garden was next, a patch of earth near the house that showed signs of neglect. A few hardy vegetables still survived, tomatoes gone wild, some squash, onions. "My mother loved this garden," Logan said quietly. "She could grow anything. I have tried to keep it going, but I do not have her touch." Olivia knelt and examined the soil, pulled a few weeds. "It is good soil. We can revive it. In the spring we can plant properly." Logan smiled at her use of we. "I would like that." The barn was sturdy and well built, with stalls for the 2 horses and room for hay storage. Logan introduced her to the horses, a sturdy bay gelding named Buck and a smaller mare named Daisy. "Buck is my working horse," Logan explained, stroking the gelding's nose. "Daisy is gentler, better for riding if you need to go somewhere." "Can you ride?" "A little," Olivia admitted. "It has been years, but I learned as a child." "We will practice then. You will need to be able to ride out here." They spent the rest of the morning working together. Logan showed Olivia how he wanted things done, but he also listened when she had suggestions. They worked on the garden together, clearing weeds and staking up the tomato plants that had sprawled across the ground. Olivia collected eggs from the chickens and found 14, more than Logan had been averaging. "You have a good touch with them already," he observed. At midday, they stopped for a simple meal. Olivia had insisted on preparing it, making a soup from vegetables and salt pork. Logan ate with obvious appreciation. "This is the best meal I have had in this house since my mother died," he said honestly. "Thank you." "It is just soup," Olivia said, but she was pleased. "It is more than that. It is someone caring enough to make it properly." That afternoon, Logan needed to check on the cattle in the far pasture. "You can come with me, or you can stay here and rest," he offered. "I know you must still be tired from your journey." "I will come," Olivia decided. "I want to see everything, understand how the ranch works." They saddled the horses, Logan helping Olivia up onto Daisy's back. The mare was patient and gentle, as he had promised. They rode out across the ranch, and Logan pointed out the boundaries of his land, showed her where the stream ran and where the best grazing was located. The cattle were scattered across a wide pasture, 40 head as he had said, mostly healthy-looking animals. Logan counted them carefully, checking for any signs of sickness or injury. Olivia watched, learning, noting how he moved among the animals with confidence despite his limp. "They look good," he said finally, satisfaction in his voice. "I was worried about that one heifer, but she seems to have recovered." They rode back to the ranch as the afternoon light began to soften. Olivia felt genuinely tired now, but it was a good kind of tired, the result of honest work rather than the soul-crushing exhaustion of the factory. That evening, they worked together to prepare supper. Olivia fried salt pork and made cornbread while Logan dealt with the animals for the night, making sure everything was secured. They ate together as the sun set, talking about plans for the ranch. "We need to think about winter," Logan said. "We will need more hay stored, and there are some repairs to the barn roof I have been putting off. If you are comfortable with it, I would like to host a barn raising in a few weeks, invite the neighbors to help. It is customary around here." "That sounds fine," Olivia said. "It would give me a chance to meet people." "They will like you," Logan said with certainty. "You are easy to talk to and you are not afraid of work. That matters to folks out here." After supper, they sat by the fire. Logan had brought out an old guitar and he strummed it idly, not quite playing any particular tune. "My father taught me," he said when Olivia looked curious. "I am not very good, but I like the sound of it." "Play something," she encouraged. He played a simple melody, sweet and a little melancholy. Olivia closed her eyes and listened, feeling the music settle something inside her. When he finished, she opened her eyes to find him watching her. "Olivia," he said quietly, "I want to ask you something." "Yes." "Last night I said we would talk about how we want to move forward, about our marriage." He set the guitar aside. "I meant what I said yesterday. You are everything I need, but I want to know what you need, what you want from this marriage." Olivia considered her words carefully. "I want partnership," she said finally. "I want to work beside you and build something together. I want respect and honesty. And I want," she paused, feeling her cheeks warm, "I want a real marriage, Logan. In every way, I did not come all this way to be just a housekeeper." He smiled, slow and warm. "I am glad to hear it, because I want the same things." He stood and offered her his hand. "Come to bed with me, wife." Olivia took his hand and let him lead her to the bedroom. Her heart was pounding, but it was excitement more than fear. Logan closed the door behind them and turned to face her in the soft lamplight. "I will be gentle," he promised. "And if you want to stop at any time, we stop. Understood?" "Understood," she whispered. He kissed her then, slow and deep, his hands careful as they moved to her waist. Olivia reached up and touched his face, feeling the stubble on his jaw, the warmth of his skin. This was her husband, and he was good and kind, and she wanted this. They undressed each other slowly, learning the shape of one another. Logan's body was strong and scarred from years of hard work, and he touched her as though she were precious. When he finally made her his wife in truth, Olivia gasped at the strange new sensation, but there was pleasure there too, growing as they moved together. Afterward they lay tangled in the quilts, Logan's arm around her waist, her head on his chest. His heart beat steady and strong under her ear. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. "More than all right," she replied honestly. "I feel this is going to sound strange, but I feel safe. For the first time in years, I feel safe." His arm tightened around her. "You are safe. I promise you that. I will do everything in my power to keep you safe and happy." Olivia believed him. She fell asleep in her husband's arms in her new home, feeling that maybe, just maybe, she had finally found where she belonged. The days fell into a rhythm after that. Olivia woke each morning before dawn and tended to the chickens and the garden while Logan saw to the horses and the cattle. They ate breakfast together, planned their day, then worked until the sun was high overhead. After a midday meal there was more work, always more work on a ranch, but Olivia found she did not mind. Her hands grew more calloused, her skin darker from the sun, but she felt stronger and healthier than she ever had in Ohio. Logan was true to his word about partnership. He asked her opinion on everything, from where to plant new fence posts to whether they should try raising pigs. They made decisions together, and Olivia felt her confidence growing with each passing day. They also grew closer in other ways. At night, they came together with increasing passion and tenderness, learning what pleased each other, building intimacy alongside their partnership. Logan was an attentive lover, always making sure she found pleasure before seeking his own. Olivia had never imagined marriage could be like this, built on genuine affection and respect. 3 weeks after Olivia's arrival, Logan announced it was time for the barn raising. He had been talking to neighbors at church on Sundays, and they had agreed on a date. Olivia felt nervous about meeting so many new people at once, but Logan reassured her. "They are curious, not judgmental," he said. "They want to meet you, see that I have not gone completely mad out here on my own." The day of the barn raising dawned clear and beautiful. People started arriving mid-morning, wagons rolling up loaded with tools and food. The Martinez family came first, Diego and Rosa with their 3 children. Rosa was a warm woman with a quick smile who immediately put Olivia at ease. "I am so glad Logan has someone now," Rosa said, hugging Olivia as though they were old friends. "We have been worried about him, out here alone." "He has been wonderful," Olivia said honestly. "I could not have asked for a better husband," Rosa beamed. "Good. That is exactly what I hope to hear." More families arrived throughout the morning. The Morrison family from the larger ranch to the north, John Morrison stern but fair, his wife Elizabeth sweet and shy. The Chen family from town, Mr. Chen who ran the general store bringing his wife and several adult children. Other ranchers and farmers from the surrounding area, all coming to help their neighbor. The men organized quickly, Logan explaining what needed to be done to repair and expand the barn. The women gathered in and around the house, preparing food and visiting. Olivia found herself in the center of a circle of welcoming faces, all asking questions about her journey, her first impressions of California, her plans for the ranch. "Logan speaks very highly of you," Elizabeth Morrison said quietly. "He told John you are a hard worker and have good ideas." Olivia felt a rush of warmth at that. Logan had been praising her to the neighbors. "I am trying my best," she said. "This life is new to me, but I am learning." "That is all anyone can ask," Rosa assured her. "We all started somewhere." Outside, the sound of hammering and sawing filled the air as the men worked. Olivia watched through the window as Logan directed the efforts, clearly respected by the other men despite his relative youth. He caught her eye and she smiled back, feeling a surge of pride in her husband. The barn raising turned into a community celebration. By late afternoon, the work was largely complete, the barn roof repaired and strengthened, a new section added for more storage. The women had laid out an impressive feast on tables set up in the yard, and everyone gathered to eat and socialize as the sun began to sink lower. Logan found Olivia in the crowd and slipped his arm around her waist. "Are you doing all right? Not too overwhelmed?" "I am wonderful," she said truthfully. "Everyone has been so kind. Told you they would like you." He pressed a kiss to her temple, unself-conscious about the public display of affection. "You have impressed them all. Rosa cornered me earlier to tell me how lucky I am." "She told me the same thing about me being lucky," Olivia laughed. Diego Martinez approached with a cup of what looked like whiskey. "Logan, a toast to your marriage and to your beautiful wife who has clearly already whipped you into shape." Logan laughed and accepted the cup. "She has indeed, Diego. Best decision I ever made sending for her." They toasted, and more men gathered around. The conversation turned to cattle prices and weather predictions, the everyday concerns of ranchers. Olivia drifted back toward the women who were beginning to clean up from the meal. "You have a good man there," Rosa said as they worked together, "and he has a good woman. That is how it should be." "I know," Olivia said softly. "I feel very fortunate." As the sun set and families began loading up their wagons to head home, there was a general sense of satisfaction and community. People embraced Olivia, welcomed her officially to the area, promised to visit soon. Logan shook hands and clapped shoulders, his face bright with genuine happiness. Finally, they were alone again, the ranch quiet in the gathering darkness. They stood together on the porch, surveying the new barn, the scattered remnants of the celebration. "Today was perfect," Olivia said, leaning into Logan's side. "It was," he agreed. "And it was better because you were here. Last time I had a barn raising right after my parents died, everyone was kind but it felt hollow. Today felt like a real celebration." "Because it was our celebration," Olivia said. "Not just yours or just mine. Hours. Logan turned to face her, his hands cupping her face gently. "I love you," he said, the words simple and direct. "I know it has only been a few weeks, but I love you, Olivia. You are my partner, my wife, and the best thing that has ever happened to me." Tears sprang to Olivia's eyes. "I love you too," she whispered. "I did not think I would ever feel this way about anyone, but I love you, Logan Reese." He kissed her there on the porch as the stars began to appear overhead, and Olivia felt complete in a way she never had before. This was home. This man was home. Autumn deepened into winter, and the ranch settled into a new rhythm. Olivia proved to have a talent for managing the household, stretching their resources to cover necessities while still improving their quality of life. She made curtains for the windows, braided rugs for the floors, and turned the small house into a real home. The garden, even as it went dormant for winter, had produced well in those last months of growing, and they had plenty of preserved vegetables for the cold season ahead. Logan continued to work the ranch, and Olivia often worked beside him when weather permitted. She learned to handle the cattle, to mend fences, to do 100 small tasks that kept the ranch running. Logan taught her to shoot, both rifle and pistol, explaining that she needed to be able to protect herself if anything happened when he was away from the house. "I do not like thinking about it," he admitted as they practiced shooting at targets near the barn, "but this country can be dangerous. I need to know you can take care of yourself." Olivia proved to be a decent shot with practice. The rifle felt heavy and awkward at first, but she learned to brace it properly, to aim carefully. The pistol was harder, the recoil surprising, but she persisted until she could hit the target more often than not. "You are a natural," Logan said proudly after she managed to hit dead center 3 times in a row. "I had a good teacher," she replied, smiling at him. Christmas came, their first together. They had little money for gifts, but they celebrated anyway. Olivia had secretly knitted Logan a scarf from wool she had purchased in town, and Logan had carved her a beautiful jewelry box from oak, with her initials worked into the lid. "It is beautiful," Olivia breathed, running her fingers over the smooth wood. "Logan, this must have taken you hours." "You are worth every minute," he said simply. They celebrated with a special meal, roasted chicken from their flock, and a dried apple pie Olivia had learned to make from Rosa Martinez. They sat by the fire after supper, Logan playing his guitar while Olivia sang along to the carols she remembered from childhood. It was simple and perfect, and Olivia felt her heart might burst from happiness. That night in bed, wrapped in Logan's arms, Olivia said, "This is the best Christmas I have ever had." "Mine too," Logan murmured into her hair. "Every day with you is a gift, Olivia." As winter continued, they grew even closer. They talked late into the night about everything and nothing, sharing their pasts, their dreams for the future. Logan told her about his childhood, about his parents who had loved each other deeply and had taught him what a good marriage looked like. Olivia told him about her own childhood, happier before her parents died, and about the brother she still missed terribly. "I wish he could have met you," she said one night. "He would have liked you. He always wanted me to be happy." "I wish I could have met him too," Logan said. "Anyone who cared about you that much must have been a good man." One cold January evening, as they prepared for bed, Olivia realized her monthly bleeding had not come. She had been so busy with ranch life that she had not noticed until now, but counting back, she was nearly 2 weeks late. Her heart began to pound as the implications sank in. "Logan," she said carefully, "I think I might be expecting." He froze in the act of pulling off his boots. "Expecting a baby? I am not certain yet, but possibly." She touched her stomach, wondering. "It is too early to be sure." Logan crossed to her in 3 quick strides and pulled her into his arms. "That would be wonderful," Amazing. Are you happy about it? I think so, Olivia said honestly. It is frightening but also exciting. Are you happy? I am thrilled, he said, his voice thick with emotion. A child. Our child. Olivia, you have already given me so much. Now this, I do not have words. Then do not use words, she said, pulling him toward the bed. Just hold me. He did, and they lay together in the darkness, imagining the future, the family they might be starting. By February, there was no doubt. Olivia's body was changing, her belly just beginning to show a slight curve, her breasts tender. She told Rosa Martinez when the family came to visit, and Rosa immediately took charge, giving advice and reassurance. You are young and strong, Rosa said firmly. You will do fine, and I will be here to help when your time comes. I have delivered many babies. Logan became even more protective, insisting Olivia not do heavy work, though she pushed back against his more extreme restrictions. I am pregnant, not dying, she said with exasperation after he tried to forbid her from collecting eggs. I need to stay active. Rosa said so. I just want you safe, he said, looking worried. Both of you, we are safe, but I will go mad if you treat me like I am made of glass. I promise to be careful and to ask for help when I need it. Fair, he agreed reluctantly. Spring came early that year, the hills turning green almost overnight. Olivia's garden came back to life, and she threw herself into planting, determined to have a good harvest. Her belly grew steadily, and by April there was no hiding her condition. She made new dresses to accommodate her changing body, letting out seams and adding fabric. You are beautiful, Logan told her frequently, his hand resting on her swollen stomach. You are glowing. I am sweating, Olivia said, but she smiled. She did feel beautiful when Logan looked at her like that, despite her awkward shape and constant fatigue. The baby moved for the first time in late April, a flutter like butterfly wings inside her. Olivia gasped and grabbed Logan's hand, pressing it to her belly. There, she said. Did you feel that? Logan's eyes went wide. I felt it. That is our baby. Our child is in there. Our child is very active, Olivia laughed as another flutter came. I think this one will keep us busy. As Olivia's belly grew larger, the reality of impending parenthood set in. Logan began working on a cradle in the evenings, carving and sanding until it was perfect. Olivia sewed baby clothes from soft cloth, tiny gowns and blankets, imagining the small person who would wear them, boy or girl. Logan asked one evening as they sat together, his hand on her stomach feeling the baby kick. I do not know, Olivia said. I think perhaps a boy the way this one kicks, but either way as long as the baby is healthy. Healthy is all that matters, Logan agreed. Though I admit I have been thinking about names. If it is a boy, I would like to name him after my father, Thomas, if that is all right with you. Thomas Reese, Olivia tested the name. I like it, and if it is a girl, I would like to name her after my mother, Catherine. Catherine Reese, Logan said softly. Beautiful, so we have a plan. The summer heat was oppressive, and Olivia felt huge and uncomfortable. She moved slowly, her back aching, her feet swollen. Logan did everything he could to make her comfortable, but there was only so much he could do. Rosa visited often, checking on Olivia's progress, assuring her that everything was normal. You are carrying well, Rosa said in late August. I think it will not be long now. She was right. A week later, on a hot afternoon in early September, Olivia felt the first contraction. She was in the garden, picking tomatoes when the pain seized her belly. She gasped and sat down hard, her hand going to her stomach. Logan was in the barn and came running when she called for him. Is it time? He asked, his face pale. I think so, Olivia managed through gritted teeth. Send for Rosa, please. Logan helped her into the house and settled her on the bed. Then he rode out like the devil was chasing him to fetch Rosa Martinez. Olivia was alone for perhaps an hour, breathing through contractions that were growing steadily stronger, before Rosa arrived with Logan right behind her. "Good, good," Rosa said, examining Olivia with practiced efficiency. "You are doing well. This baby will come tonight, I think." The labor was long and hard. Olivia lost track of time, focused only on the pain that consumed her, on Rosa's calm voice guiding her through each contraction. Logan held her hand, his face creased with worry, and she gripped him hard enough to leave marks. Night had fallen when Rosa finally said, "Now, Olivia. Push now." Olivia bore down with all her strength, and suddenly there was a rush of relief and the sound of a baby crying. She fell back against the pillows, exhausted beyond measure. "A boy," Rosa announced, holding up the squalling infant. "A healthy boy." Logan laughed, the sound choked with emotion. "A son. We have a son." Rosa cleaned the baby and wrapped him in a blanket before placing him in Olivia's arms. Olivia looked down at the tiny red face, the eyes squeezed shut, the mouth open in outrage at being born. Love flooded through her, fierce and overwhelming. "Hello, Thomas," she whispered. "Welcome to the world." Logan leaned over them both, his hand gentle on the baby's head. "He is perfect. Olivia, you are amazing. Look at what we made." "Look at what we made," she echoed, unable to take her eyes off their son. Rosa cleaned up and made sure Olivia was comfortable before finally preparing to leave. "I will come back tomorrow to check on you both," she promised. "But you did very well. Rest now." After Rosa left, Logan carefully climbed into bed beside Olivia, and they lay together with their son between them, watching him sleep. "I never knew I could feel like this," Logan said quietly. "Like my heart might explode from how much I love you both." "I know," Olivia whispered. "It is overwhelming, wonderful and terrifying all at once." Little Thomas opened his eyes then, dark blue and unfocused, and seemed to look directly at his father. Logan's face crumpled and tears ran down his cheeks. "I promise you," he said to his son, "I will be the best father I can be. I will teach you everything I know. I will keep you safe and loved." "We both will," Olivia said, her own tears falling. "We will give him everything we have." The first months of Thomas's life were exhausting but joyful. Olivia learned to function on little sleep, nursing the baby at all hours, changing his wrappings, soothing him when he cried. Logan helped as much as he could, walking the floor with Thomas when Olivia needed to rest, making meals, taking over more of the household chores. "I have never been so tired in my life," Olivia said one morning after a particularly difficult night, "but I have also never been happier." "That seems to be the nature of parenthood," Logan said, bouncing Thomas gently. "Exhausting and wonderful in equal measure." Thomas was a healthy baby, growing quickly. By Christmas, he was smiling and laughing, delighting his parents with every new milestone. The small ranch house rang with his cries and giggles, and Olivia could not imagine it any other way. "Do you ever think about what your life would have been like if you had not answered my advertisement?" Logan asked one evening as they sat by the fire, Thomas sleeping in his cradle nearby. "Sometimes," Olivia admitted, "and I am grateful every day that I did. If I had stayed in Ohio, I would probably be working myself to death in some factory, alone and miserable. Instead, I have this. You, Thomas, our home. I would not trade it for anything." "Good," Logan said, pulling her close, "because I plan to keep you for a very long time, forever if possible." "Forever sounds perfect," Olivia murmured against his chest. Thomas grew into a sturdy toddler, and the ranch prospered. Logan's careful management and Olivia's hard work paid off in increased cattle stock and better yields from the garden. They were not wealthy by any means, but they were comfortable and happy. When Thomas was 2 years old, Olivia discovered she was pregnant again. This time the news felt different, less frightening and more exciting. They knew what to expect, knew they could handle it. "Another one," Logan said, his hand on her still flat belly. "Thomas will have a brother or sister. That is wonderful." "I hope it is a girl this time," Olivia admitted, to even things out, though another boy would be fine too. This pregnancy was easier in some ways, harder in others. Chasing after an active toddler while growing a baby was exhausting, but Olivia felt more confident, less worried about every little thing. In late spring, on a beautiful May morning, Olivia gave birth to their second child. Rosa was there again, guiding her through the labor, and this time it went faster. When Rosa announced, "A girl," Olivia felt a rush of joy. "Catherine," she said as Logan placed their daughter in her arms, "just like we planned." Catherine was smaller than Thomas had been, with wisps of auburn hair and her father's blue eyes. Thomas, brought in to meet his sister, stared at her with wide eyes. "Baby," he said seriously, patting her gently. "My baby." "Yes," Logan said, picking up his son. "Your baby sister. You have to help us take care of her." Thomas took his role as big brother very seriously, always wanting to be near Catherine, bringing her his toys, concerned whenever she cried. Logan and Olivia watched their children together with hearts full of love and gratitude. "We made this," Olivia said one evening as they watched Thomas carefully rock Catherine's cradle while she slept. "This family, this life, we built it from nothing." "You are everything I need," Logan said, echoing the words from that first day in Sonora. "I told you that when you arrived, and it has only become more true with time. You and now our children, this is everything." The years passed in a blur of activity and love. Thomas and Catherine grew, joined eventually by another son, James, when Thomas was 5 and Catherine 3. The ranch grew too, expanding to 400 acres with over 100 head of cattle. Logan and Olivia worked side by side, building their dream, raising their family. There were hard times too. A drought one year that tested them severely. A bout of sickness that swept through the area, leaving Olivia terrified for her children until they recovered. Logan's leg bothered him more as he aged, especially in cold weather, but he never complained. Through it all, their love remained strong. They still talked late into the night, still made each other laugh, still came together with passion and tenderness. The foundation they had built on that first day, based on honesty and respect, proved strong enough to weather any storm. One evening, years after Olivia's arrival, they sat on the porch as the sun set over their land. The children were inside, Thomas helping the younger ones with their evening chores. Olivia leaned against Logan's shoulder, content and peaceful. "You remember what I said when I first saw you?" she asked. "That first day in Sonora, you said you were not what I expected," Logan replied, "and I told you that you were everything I needed." "I was so scared that day," Olivia admitted. "Terrified that you would send me back, that I would have nowhere to go." "I could never have sent you back," Logan said. "The moment I saw you, I knew. You were brave and honest and strong, everything your letters had promised and more." "I knew too," Olivia said softly. "When you looked at me, really looked at me and saw me for who I was, not just what I looked like. That was when I knew I had made the right choice." Logan turned to face her, his hand cupping her cheek the way he had so many times over the years. "Best decision I ever made was placing that advertisement. Second best was saying yes when you stepped off that stage." "My best decision was answering that advertisement," Olivia said. "Coming here, marrying you, building this life with you." He kissed her as the sun disappeared below the horizon, and Olivia felt the same flutter of excitement and love she had felt on their wedding night all those years ago. Some things never changed, never faded. "Papa, Mama, come inside," Catherine called from the doorway. "Thomas made dessert and he says it is special." They went inside to their children, to the home they had built together, to the life they had created from nothing but hope and determination and love. Olivia looked around the warm, lamp-lit kitchen, at her children's faces and her husband's smile, and knew she was exactly where she belonged. She had come to California as a desperate woman with no prospects, answering an advertisement from a stranger. She had stepped off that stage expecting rejection, expecting to not be good enough. Instead, she had found Logan Reese, a man who saw her for exactly who she was and loved her for it. She had found a home, a family, a life beyond anything she could have imagined. "Are you all right?" Logan asked quietly, noticing her tears. "I am perfect," Olivia said, smiling through the tears. Absolutely perfect, and she was. The years continued to be good to the Reese family. Thomas grew into a strong young man, tall like his father with his mother's auburn hair and sharp features. At 18, he was already running much of the ranch operation, showing a natural talent for working with cattle and managing the land. Catherine, at 16, had become a beautiful young woman with her father's blue eyes and gentle nature, but also her mother's fierce determination. She had announced her intention to become a teacher, and Logan and Olivia supported her dream wholeheartedly. James, at 13, was somewhere between childhood and manhood, all lanky limbs and enthusiasm, equally comfortable with books and ranch work. Olivia and Logan sat on the porch one evening, watching their children work together to bring the horses in for the night. They moved with practiced efficiency, clearly comfortable with the rhythms of ranch life. "They turned out well," Logan said, pride evident in his voice. "They did," Olivia agreed. "Better than we could have hoped." Logan took her hand, his thumb rubbing over her knuckles. "You know what I was thinking about today?" "What?" "That day in Sonora when you arrived. How nervous I was, how afraid you would take one look at me and want to leave." Olivia laughed. "I was the one who was nervous. I was certain you would be disappointed." "Never disappointed," Logan said firmly. "Not for one single day. You have been everything I needed and so much more than I deserved." "Stop that," Olivia chided gently. "You deserved happiness just as much as I did. We found each other at exactly the right time." A wagon appeared on the road leading to their ranch, and they both sat up straighter, watching. Visitors were always welcome, but unexpected ones could mean trouble. "Relax," Logan said as the wagon drew closer. "That is Diego and Rosa." Indeed, the Martinez family wagon pulled up to the house and their old friends climbed down. Rosa looked older now, her hair gray, but her smile was as warm as ever. "We come with news," Diego announced after greetings were exchanged. "Good news, we hope." "What news?" Logan asked. "Our son Miguel, you remember him. He has been working in San Francisco these last few years. Well, he has decided to come home and start a ranch of his own. We have given him the south section of our property." "That is wonderful," Olivia said sincerely. Miguel had been a few years older than Thomas, and the boys had played together as children. "Yes, but here is the interesting part," Rosa said, her eyes twinkling. "He has met a young woman in San Francisco, a teacher. She is coming with him and they plan to marry and start a school here in the area." Catherine's face lit up. "A real school, not just the traveling teacher who comes through twice a year." "A real school," Rosa confirmed. "And they will need another teacher. Miguel's wife cannot do it all alone." Catherine looked at her parents, hope shining in her eyes. Olivia smiled and nodded. "I think that might be a wonderful opportunity for you." The conversation turned to plans and possibilities. Catherine and Rosa bent their heads together, discussing the school, while the men talked about Miguel's plans for his ranch. Olivia watched it all with a sense of deep contentment. After the Martinez family left, Catherine threw her arms around her mother. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for supporting my dreams." "Always," Olivia said, hugging her daughter tight. "Your father and I want you to have every opportunity we never had. If teaching is your dream, then we will do everything we can to help you achieve it." That night, after the children were in bed, Logan and Olivia sat by the fire as they had done countless times over the years. "Catherine will be married before we know it," Logan said. "Teaching at the school, meeting young men, it happens fast." "Do not rush her," Olivia said, though she knew he was right. "Let her find her own path, make her own choices. We found each other in an unconventional way, and we were lucky. She will find her own way too." "I know," Logan sighed. "It is just hard to imagine our little girl grown up." "She is not grown up yet. We still have time." Olivia moved closer to her husband. "And we will have more time after they are all grown and moved out. Time for just the two of us again." Logan smiled and pulled her into his lap. "I like the sound of that, though I will miss the chaos." "We will still have plenty of chaos, I am sure. Grandchildren eventually, visits from all of them. But yes, some quiet time together will be nice." They sat together in comfortable silence, the fire crackling, the house quiet around them. Outside, the ranch stretched into the darkness, their land, their legacy. "You ever regret it?" Logan asked quietly. "Giving up the possibility of a different life? Maybe something easier, somewhere more civilized?" Olivia looked up at him, surprised. "Never, not once." "Why would you even ask that?" "I do not know. Sometimes I worry that I have asked too much of you, that ranch life has been too hard." "Logan Reese, look at me." Olivia waited until he met her eyes. "This life, hard as it has been sometimes, is exactly what I wanted. I wanted honesty and partnership and love. I wanted to build something real with someone who saw me as I truly am. You gave me all of that and more. I would choose this life, choose you, 1,000 times over." Logan's eyes grew suspiciously bright. "I love you," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "After all these years, I love you more than I did the day we married." "I love you too," Olivia replied, kissing him softly. "More than words can say." The summer brought Miguel Martinez and his new wife Sarah back to the area. Sarah was a pleasant woman with brown hair and intelligent eyes, and she and Catherine became fast friends. The school was established in a newly built structure between the Martinez and Reese ranches, convenient for families in the area. Catherine began teaching that fall, coming home each day full of stories about her students. She glowed with happiness, clearly having found her calling. Thomas continued to run more and more of the ranch, and Logan began to talk about officially making him a partner in the operation. "He has earned it," Logan said. "The boy works harder than I ever did at his age." "He learned from the best," Olivia said. "Both how to work hard and how to treat people with respect." James showed interest in the breeding aspect of cattle ranching, spending hours studying bloodlines and characteristics. Logan encouraged this, seeing potential in his youngest son's analytical mind. One afternoon in late autumn, a stranger rode up to the ranch. He was a young man, perhaps 25, well-dressed and riding a fine horse. Logan and Thomas went out to meet him, Olivia watching from the porch. "I am looking for the Reese Ranch," the stranger said. "I was told this was the place." "You found it," Logan said. "I am Logan Reese." "This is my son Thomas. What can we do for you?" "My name is William Foster. I am a land surveyor for the railroad. We are planning a line through this area, and I was hoping to discuss right-of-way access through your property." Logan's expression grew wary. "The railroad, through here?" "Yes, sir. It would be beneficial for everyone. Easier transport of cattle to market, supplies brought in more efficiently, Of course, you would be compensated for any land used. I will need to think about it, Logan said carefully, and discuss it with my wife. This is not a decision I make alone. William Foster looked surprised. Your wife? I mean no disrespect, Mr. Reese, but this is a business matter. And my wife is my business partner, Logan said firmly. We make decisions together, always have, always will. Olivia felt a surge of love for her husband. Even after all these years, he never failed to recognize her as an equal partner in their life. Very well, Foster said, clearly taken aback. May I speak with you both then? Come up to the house, Logan invited. We can discuss it properly. Over coffee at the kitchen table, William Foster laid out the railroad's plans. They wanted to run a line from Sonora south and east, connecting with other lines that would eventually link all the way to the coast. It would mean significant changes to the area, but also opportunities for growth and prosperity. How much land are we talking about? Olivia asked. Perhaps 50 feet wide through the southern portion of your property. You would retain ownership, but the railroad would have right-of-way for the tracks and maintenance access. Logan and Olivia exchanged glances. They had developed a way of communicating without words over the years, and Olivia could read the uncertainty in her husband's eyes. We need to discuss this privately, Logan said. Can you give us a few days to think it over? Of course. I am staying at the hotel in Sonora. You can reach me there. Foster stood and shook hands with them both. Thank you for your time. After he left, Logan and Olivia sat in silence for a long moment. What do you think? Logan finally asked. I think change is coming whether we want it or not, Olivia said slowly. The railroad will come through this area one way or another. At least this way we have some control, some say in how it affects our land. That is what I was thinking too, but I wanted your opinion. Logan rubbed his face tiredly. My father would probably roll over in his grave at the thought of the railroad cutting through our land. But your father also taught you to adapt, to make smart decisions for the future. Olivia reached across the table and took his hand. We should talk to Thomas too. This affects his future as much as ours. They called a family meeting that evening, explaining the situation to all 3 children. Thomas listened carefully, asking intelligent questions. Catherine worried about the school, whether the changes would affect it. James was simply excited at the thought of trains coming through. I think we should do it, Thomas said finally. The money they are offering is good, and it will make shipping cattle so much easier. We could expand the herd significantly if we do not have to worry about long cattle drives to market. What about you, Catherine? Logan asked. You have not said much. I think Thomas is right, Catherine said. Progress is coming. We can either embrace it or be left behind, and maybe more families will move to the area if there is a railroad. That would mean more students for the school. Logan looked at Olivia. It seems we are all in agreement then. They sent word to William Foster the next day that they would agree to the railroad's terms. Over the following months, surveyors came through regularly, marking boundaries, making plans. The actual construction would not begin for another year, but the changes were already beginning. Life continued its steady rhythm. Winter came and went, followed by a wet spring that was excellent for the grass and the cattle. The herd grew strong and healthy. Thomas proved his worth time and again, making smart decisions, working tirelessly. One evening in late spring, Thomas came to his parents with a nervous expression. I need to talk to you both about something, he said. Of course, Logan said, gesturing to a chair. What is it? There is a girl, Thomas began, then stopped, his face reddening. A woman, I mean. Sarah's sister has come to visit from San Francisco, and she and we have been talking, spending time together. Olivia smiled. What is her name? Margaret. Maggie. She is wonderful, smart, and funny and beautiful, and she does not mind ranch life. In fact, she says she prefers it to the city. He took a deep breath. I want to court her properly. I wanted your permission first. Logan and Olivia exchanged amused glances. Their son, so confident in all things related to the ranch, was completely undone by a woman. It was charming. Of course you have our permission, Logan said. I would like to meet her properly, though. Invite her to dinner. Thomas's face lit up. Really, thank you. I will bring her this Sunday if that is all right. Sunday came and Thomas arrived with Maggie. She was a lovely young woman with dark hair and warm brown eyes, and it was clear within minutes that she and Thomas were deeply in love. She spoke intelligently about her teaching work in San Francisco, her desire for a simpler life, her interest in ranching. My father thinks I am crazy, Maggie admitted over dinner. He cannot understand why I would want to leave the city, but I have always felt more at peace in open spaces. And Thomas has told me so much about the ranch, about your family. I want to be part of this. Olivia liked her immediately. How long are you visiting? Originally, I planned for just a month, Maggie said, glancing at Thomas with obvious affection. But I have written to my family to say I might stay longer. Sarah has offered me a position at the school, teaching with her and Catherine. After dinner, Logan and Olivia found a moment alone in the kitchen while the young people talked on the porch. What do you think? Logan asked. I think our son has excellent taste, Olivia said. She seems wonderful, genuine, and she clearly loves him. They are young, Logan said, though he was smiling. We were young too, Olivia reminded him. And we barely knew each other. They have time to be sure to build their relationship properly, but if they decide they want to marry, I would be happy to welcome her into our family. Logan wrapped his arms around his wife. When did our children grow up? Slowly and then all at once, Olivia said, leaning into his embrace. But they are good people, Logan. We raised them well. You raised them well, Logan corrected. I just tried to keep up. No, Olivia said firmly. We did it together. Everything we have accomplished, we have done together. That is what makes it special. By the end of summer, Thomas and Maggie were officially engaged. They planned a wedding for the following spring, giving everyone time to prepare. Maggie had officially taken the teaching position and moved into a small house near the school that she shared with Sarah. The railroad construction began that fall, crews of workers descending on the area. It was chaotic and sometimes frustrating, but Logan and the other ranchers adapted. The Reese Ranch prospered, the cattle herd growing to nearly 200 head. Logan officially made Thomas a partner, changing the ranch name to Reese and Son Cattle Company. I am so proud of you, Logan told his son. You have exceeded every expectation I had. I learned from you, Thomas said simply. You and Mother taught me everything that matters, how to work hard, how to treat people right, how to build something lasting. Thomas and Maggie's wedding in April was a joyous occasion. The entire community came together to celebrate, and Olivia watched her oldest son marry the woman he loved with tears streaming down her face. Why are you crying? Logan asked, handing her a handkerchief. Because I am happy, Olivia said. Because he found what we have. Real love, real partnership. That is all I ever wanted for our children. He did find it, Logan agreed. Just like his old man did all those years ago. Thomas and Maggie moved into a new house they had built on the eastern section of the ranch property. It was close enough to be convenient for working together, but far enough to give the young couple privacy. Watching them set up their household, Olivia was reminded of her own early days with Logan, the excitement of building a life together. It goes so fast, she said to Logan one night. One minute they are babies and the next they are grown with lives of their own. We still have James at home, Logan pointed out, and Catherine for now. We are not empty nesters yet. No, but it is coming. In a few years they will all be settled in their own lives. Logan pulled her close. Then we will have time for just us. We can travel, maybe visit San Francisco, see some of the country we have never seen. That sounds wonderful, Olivia said. But honestly, I am happy right here. This ranch, this life, it is everything I ever wanted. The following year brought both joy and sorrow. Catherine announced her engagement to a young man named Peter Harrison, a lawyer who had moved to the area. He was intelligent and kind, and he clearly adored Catherine. But that same year, Diego Martinez passed away suddenly from a heart ailment. The entire community mourned the loss of a good man and a beloved neighbor. Logan took Diego's death hard. "He was one of the first people to welcome me after my parents died," he said at the funeral. "He was a true friend." "He was," Olivia agreed, holding her husband's hand. "And he lived a good long life, full of love and family. That is all any of us can hope for." Rosa, though grieving, remained strong. "Diego would want us to celebrate life, not just mourn death," she said. "We will honor his memory by living well." Catherine's wedding came in the fall, another beautiful celebration of love and family. Watching her daughter marry, Olivia reflected on how far they had all come. Catherine, her firstborn daughter, so strong and determined, had found a partner who would support her dreams just as Logan had always supported Olivia's. James, now 18, announced his intention to attend agricultural college in Sacramento. "I want to learn the latest methods, the science behind breeding and land management," he explained. "I will come back and help make our ranch even better." Logan and Olivia supported his decision, proud of his ambition and drive. When James left for school that winter, the house felt suddenly very empty. "It is just us now," Logan said that first evening, looking around the quiet kitchen. "Just us," Olivia agreed, but she was smiling. "I love our children, and I am so proud of the lives they are building. But I also love having time alone with you." Logan stood and pulled her into his arms. "Come dance with me." "There is no music," Olivia laughed. "We do not need music." He hummed a tune and began to sway with her around the kitchen. They moved together easily, comfortably, two people who knew each other so well they could anticipate each movement. "I love you," Logan said as they danced. "Just as much as the day I first saw you step off that stage in Sonora, maybe more." "Definitely more," Olivia said. "We have built a whole life together, Logan. Children, grandchildren soon enough, a successful ranch. We have created something real and lasting." "All because you answered an advertisement," Logan said. "All because you were brave enough to come west and take a chance on a stranger." "A stranger who turned out to be the best man I ever met," Olivia said. "A stranger who saw me for who I really was and loved me anyway. How could I not fall in love with you?" They danced until the fire burned low, swaying in the quiet kitchen, celebrating their life together. The years that followed were good ones. Thomas and Maggie had their first child, a son they named Logan after his grandfather. The pride on Logan's face when he held his namesake brought tears to Olivia's eyes. Catherine and Peter had twin daughters, and James returned from college full of new ideas and innovations for the ranch. The railroad was completed, and just as predicted, it brought prosperity to the area. The Reese Ranch thrived, able to ship cattle more efficiently and bring in supplies more easily. New families moved to the region, drawn by opportunity and the promise of a good life. Logan and Olivia settled into a comfortable rhythm, still working the ranch but allowing their sons to take on more responsibility. They had time to enjoy their grandchildren, to visit with friends, to simply be together. One evening, sitting on the porch as they had done thousands of times before, Olivia said, Tell me about that day again. The day I arrived. Logan smiled. He knew exactly what day she meant. You stepped off that stage looking terrified and trying not to show it. You had this way of holding your chin up, defiant and brave. I thought you were the most interesting woman I had ever seen. I was so afraid you would be disappointed, Olivia admitted, that the reality of me would not match whatever you had imagined. And I told you that you were everything I needed, Logan finished. And I meant it then, and I mean it now. You are everything I need, Olivia, everything I could ever want. You have made my life so much richer than I ever imagined it could be. Olivia leaned her head on his shoulder. You saved me, you know. I was drowning in Ohio, suffocating in a life that was slowly killing me. You gave me hope, gave me a purpose, gave me love. You saved me. We saved each other, Logan corrected. I was lost after my parents died, going through the motions but not really living. You brought life back into this house, into my heart. We saved each other. They sat in silence for a while, watching the sun set over the land they had worked and loved for so many years. The ranch stretched out before them, golden in the evening light, full of life and promise. Do you know what I think about sometimes? Olivia said. I think about the woman I might have become if I had stayed in Ohio, bitter and worn down, probably dead before my time from factory work or illness. And then I think about the woman I am now, strong, loved, surrounded by family. It is like living two completely different lives. This is the real life, Logan said. The one you were always meant to live, you just needed to find your way here. To you, Olivia said. I needed to find my way to you, and I to you. More years passed, years filled with the ordinary joys and sorrows of life. The ranch continued to prosper under Thomas and James's management. Catherine's daughters grew into lovely young women. More grandchildren came, filling the ranch with laughter and noise during visits. Logan's leg troubled him more as he aged, and Olivia developed arthritis in her hands, but they remained active and engaged in life. On their 30th wedding anniversary, their children threw them a celebration at the ranch. The entire community came, the house and yard filled with people who had become family over the decades. There were speeches and toasts, tears and laughter. 30 years ago, Thomas said in his toast, my father made the best decision of his life. He brought my mother here to California, to this ranch, to build a life together. And what a life they have built. They have taught us all what love looks like, what partnership means. They have shown us that with hard work and dedication and genuine affection, anything is possible. To my parents, the best example any of us could ask for. To Logan and Olivia, the crowd chorused, raising their glasses. Later that night, after everyone had left and they were alone again, Logan and Olivia stood on the porch looking out at the familiar landscape. 30 years, Logan marveled. It feels like yesterday and like forever all at once. I know what you mean, Olivia said. I can barely remember life before you, before this place. It is like this was always meant to be. It was always meant to be, Logan said with certainty. From the moment I wrote that advertisement to the moment you answered it, this was our destiny. Building this life together, creating this family. It was all meant to be. Olivia turned to face him, looking up at the face she knew better than her own. The years had added lines and gray hair, but his eyes were still the same brilliant blue, still looked at her with the same love and devotion they had held from the beginning. You are everything I need, she said, echoing his words from their first day. You have always been everything I need. And you are everything I need, Logan replied. My partner, my wife, my best friend. Everything. They stood together in the cool night air, two people who had found each other against all odds and had built something beautiful together. The ranch around them was quiet, peaceful. a testament to their years of hard work and dedication. Their children were settled and happy, living good lives, raising families of their own. The legacy Logan and Olivia had created would continue for generations. "I would not change a single thing," Olivia said softly. "Not one moment, not one decision. This life with you has been perfect." "Even the hard times?" Logan asked with a slight smile. "Even the hard times. They made the good times sweeter. They taught us what we were capable of. And we weathered them all together." "Together," Logan agreed. "That has always been our secret, facing everything together as partners." They went inside finally, banking the fire, preparing for bed. In their room, they helped each other undress as they had done thousands of times, comfortable and familiar with each other's bodies, despite the changes time had brought in bed. Logan pulled Olivia close, and she rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. "Thank you," Logan said into the darkness. "For what? For answering that advertisement, for being brave enough to come here, for building this life with me, for everything." "Thank you for placing the advertisement," Olivia countered, "for seeing me as I truly was, for loving me, for giving me a home and a family and a purpose. Thank you for everything." They fell asleep in each other's arms, two people who had found their perfect match, who had created a beautiful life together against all odds. As the years continued to pass, Logan and Olivia remained active in their families' lives, though they officially retired from running the ranch. They spent their days enjoying their grandchildren, working in the garden, taking leisurely rides around the property they loved so much. They were content, satisfied with the life they had built, the legacy they were leaving. One evening, many years after that first meeting in Sonora, Logan suffered a heart attack. The doctor was called, the family gathered. For several days, Logan hovered between life and death while Olivia sat at his bedside, holding his hand, refusing to leave. "You cannot go yet," she whispered to him. "We still have more time. We still have so much more to do together." But Logan's time was running out. On a quiet morning, with Olivia holding his hand and their children gathered around, Logan opened his eyes one last time. "Olivia," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I am here," she said, leaning close. "I am right here, my love. Best decision," he managed. "Everything I needed." "Yes," Olivia said through her tears. "You were everything I needed too. Everything." Logan smiled, squeezed her hand weakly, and closed his eyes. A few minutes later, he was gone. The grief was overwhelming. Olivia felt as though a part of her had been torn away, leaving a gaping wound that could never heal. But she was surrounded by love, by children and grandchildren who supported her through the darkest days. The community came together as they always did, bringing food, offering comfort, sharing memories of a good man who had touched many lives. Logan was buried on a hillside overlooking the ranch, the place he had loved so much. At the funeral, Olivia stood strong, her children beside her, and spoke from her heart. "Logan Reese was the best man I ever knew," she said, her voice clear despite her grief. "He was kind and honest, hardworking and fair. He was a loving husband, a devoted father, a cherished friend. But more than any of that, he was a true partner. We built this life together, from nothing, and it has been the greatest joy of my life. I will miss him every day for the rest of my days, but I am so grateful for the time we had. So grateful that he saw something in me worth loving, worth building a life with. He told me once that I was everything he needed. What he never understood was that he was everything to me, my whole world, and now I have to learn to live in a world without him." She could say no more, overcome by emotion. Thomas stepped forward and wrapped his arms around his mother, holding her as she wept. The months after Logan's death were difficult. Olivia moved through the days mechanically at first, not sure how to exist without her partner of over 40 years. The house felt empty without him, the ranch quiet without his voice. But gradually, with the support of her family, Olivia found a new rhythm. She spent time with her grandchildren, finding joy in their energy and innocence. She worked in the garden, finding peace in the familiar tasks. She rode Daisy around the ranch, remembering all the times she and Logan had ridden together. And slowly, the grief began to ease, not disappearing but becoming bearable. One afternoon, nearly a year after Logan's death, Olivia rode up to his grave on the hillside. She sat on the grass beside the simple marker and spoke to him as though he were still there. "I miss you," she said. "Every single day I miss you, but I am doing all right. The children are wonderful, taking care of me even though I insist I do not need taking care of. The ranch is thriving. Thomas and James are doing an excellent job, and they always credit you with teaching them well. Catherine's daughters are starting to court young men, which would make you laugh. And little Logan, your namesake, he reminds me so much of you. Same blue eyes, same gentle strength." She paused, running her hand over the grass. "I wanted to thank you again. For that day in Sonora, for seeing me, for loving me. You gave me the most beautiful life, Logan. You gave me everything. And I hope, wherever you are, you know how much I loved you, how much I still love you. You will always be everything I need." A breeze stirred the grass, and Olivia imagined it was Logan's presence, reassuring her, comforting her. She sat for a long while, then mounted Daisy and rode back to the ranch house, ready to continue living the life they had built together. Olivia lived for many more years, surrounded by love, watching her family grow and thrive. She told stories of Logan to anyone who would listen, keeping his memory alive for the younger generations who had not known him well. She remained active and engaged, still offering advice on the ranch, still working her garden, still riding across the land she loved. When Olivia finally passed away peacefully in her sleep at the age of 82, the entire community mourned. She was buried beside Logan on the hillside, the two of them together again at last. At her funeral, Thomas spoke for the family. "My mother was an extraordinary woman," he said. "She came to California with nothing but hope and determination, and she built an incredible life here. She was a devoted wife, a loving mother, a cherished grandmother and great-grandmother. She taught us all what it means to work hard, to love deeply, to live with integrity. She and my father showed us what a true partnership looks like, what real love means. Their legacy lives on in all of us, in this ranch, in this community they helped build. We are all better for having known her." The Reese family continued to thrive for generations. The ranch that Logan and Olivia had built together remained in the family, passed down from parents to children, growing and evolving but always maintaining the values its founders had established. Hard work, honesty, partnership, love. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, when the sun set golden over the California hills, the family would gather on the porch of the old house and tell the story of how it all began. How a desperate woman answered an advertisement. How a lonely man took a chance on a stranger. How two people who said they were not what the other expected turned out to be everything each other needed. It was a story of courage and faith, of love found in unexpected places, of building something lasting against all odds. It was the story of Logan and Olivia Reese, a mail-order bride and the cowboy who loved her, who had created something beautiful together that would last forever. Their love story became legend in the family, told and retold, a reminder that sometimes the greatest loves begin with the bravest leaps of faith. And on that hillside overlooking the ranch they had built together, two simple markers stood side by side, bearing their names and dates and one simple inscription that said everything that needed to be said. Together forever.